So this is the riverboat, the SS Klondike. It's a steam-powered stern wheeler. As you can see, it's one of the largest ones that was ever built in this area. It was built right here in Whitehorse. Built and launched in 1937 to run the Yukon River between Whitehorse and Dawson City. Which it did from 1937 till around 1950 when it was taken out of service after the Alaskan Highway was finished. And of course there wasn't as much call for this type of transportation. But during its time and the years prior to when it was launched, riverboats were the main source of transportation up and down to access the north up here. And they say there were over 200 of these built. Some of them didn't survive very long. This is actually the second Klondike, because the very first one, which was launched about 2 years earlier, had ran aground. It was exactly the same size and had to be completely dismantled. And they used a lot of the parts to build this one. So an interesting thing about this particular one is when it was taken out of service in 1950, it sat for a while, 5 years or so, and then the company that owned it had decided to start a cruise service for kind of a luxury riverboat service from Whitehorse to Dawson City. And they spent a lot of money completely refitting it, revamping it, for that, but apparently it only lasted 1 year, and they decided that there wasn't enough demand, and so they parked it for a number of years, and eventually in the 60s it was donated to Parks Canada, and Parks Canada has had it ever since, and it was designated a historical site back in the late 60s, and at the moment it is being completely renovated and restored. Apparently, all the paint on it is lead-based paint, and it's a multi-year, very ambitious project to remove all the paint, completely redo all the interior fittings, and open it back up to the public again. So unfortunately, this is as close as I can get to it, but it'll be really something when it's finished. So if you're coming to Whitehorse in the next, well, I think they said 2028 or 2029 is when they suspect to have it finished and reopened to the public. So be something to see. At the moment, it's sitting up high and dry on the banks of the Yukon River. The Yukon River, obviously, when it's in flood, you can see how wide that is, would have been quite a major thoroughfare in Canada, of course, to allow ships like that to be able to navigate it. Here in Whitehorse, the city is named after the Whitehorse Rapids, which I'm going to go have a look at before I head out of the city. And it was a major stumbling point or blockage for people heading to the Klondike, to the gold fields, because they had to go through here. This was the route that they took. And I'll talk more about that when I get to Dawson City. But a lot of lives were lost in these rapids up ahead here until they eventually created a tram that went around them. It's like a portage. The river is probably a fraction of what it was. There's a dam up ahead. They have all the power for this part of the Yukon is produced from this dam. And so obviously the flow is far reduced from what it would have been in 1897 when the Klondikers were coming up through here. So I will move on.